Stephen Sulley, back on the Stephen Sulley study to give you another episode. I've said it a few times in podcasts on my social media that I'm a huge fan of business. I'm a huge fan of people that win, who have got that mindset of winning, who are driven and very determined in their field, no matter whether their background's in business or sport or sales or becoming the best mother or father. I like people that are proper switched on and they are driven towards their purpose in life. But also, I think sport itself, the people inside of it, they reflect and purport the winner's attitude. More importantly, I love boxing. I love boxing as a sport, but I think entrepreneurs and people in business to people who are in sport, but specifically combat sport or boxing, basically they go hand in hand. I feel if you've got the mindset of an entrepreneur, you'll be able to transfer that over into boxing. And I think if you've got the mindset of a boxer, which is to win and to go out there, and even when you're getting battered, find an opportunity where you can overcome adversity, you could transfer that over into being an entrepreneur or business. And when I'm seeing big fights happening, currently right now, by the time you've listened to this, the fight between Andy Ruiz and Anthony Joshua, number 2, would have happened and taken place in Saudi. I'm really looking forward to it. But what I love seeing is the promotional videos and the interviews that the fighters have up until the point when they're about to take place and have a battle. I like the way Anthony Joshua has always been. I like the way he's fairly humble, keeps his feet firmly on the ground. But more importantly, I think he's a true athlete, he's a true professional, and I think he carries himself and holds himself very well. And I like the way he talks. It's not to say that someone like Andy Ruiz doesn't talk well or any of the other fighters, but there's just something about Anthony Joshua that's quite smooth and he's quite articulate. So I was watching a program on Sky called The Gloves Are Off. If you haven't seen it, if you're into boxing, it's a must. You should watch it. But even if you're not into boxing and you just want to see the mindset characteristics that are being purported by these people, I highly recommend you watch it. If you're in sales, you should also be reading up and watching and listening to a lot of sports people, because sales and sports, the art of winning, the art of closing, the art of achieving massive amount of success, they go hand in hand as well. So The Gloves Are Off is a program to promote the fight, and basically it's both of the fighters sitting opposite each other with an ex-pro and ex-world champion, a guy called Johnny Nelson, who asked some questions. What I liked about what Anthony Joshua said during this 40-minute interview, where there was backwards and forwards between both fighters, is he broke it down like this. As we all know, he unfortunately lost, but now he's got the rematch where he has a chance to redeem himself, and there's a huge amount of pride and money on the table, and I fully believe that if he gets through this, it's going to be a massive part in his boxing career. And I also believe that this actual loss has allowed him to reset and come back even stronger. I heard Floyd Mayweather said it once: it's a small setback for a major comeback. And what I particularly like about fighters, entrepreneurs, is even when they have a challenge, and even when they have a setback, which most people will call a failure, they use it as a way to realign themselves, become centered again, refocus, look at the things that really matter, and drive forward with grit, determination, and that complete hunger and that fire in their belly. This is what Joshua said. As far as taking on the second fight, he has 3 options. Don't change anything. The second option is to add to what you've already got. And the third one is to change it completely, change it all. Now, when I was thinking about this, it made complete sense. But also, if you really think about it, life and the things that you go through, chapters in your story, your journey, there's going to be opportunities where you're going to come across these 3 decisions to make. Don't change anything. You can change sorry, let me start that again. Don't change anything. Add to what you've already got, or change it all completely. So let me break this down. Let's start with the M1, the latter. Change it completely. Now, in some circumstances, I believe that you do need to change it completely. I feel if you've got a peer group that is toxic, poisonous, I spoke about this a couple of weeks ago. For me, life is about enjoyment. Life is about hitting your goals. Life is about an evolution and becoming the best version of you. And if you've got people that are wildly crazy, they're not positive, they like to pull you down, they might be alcoholics, they might be drug addicts, and they might be, and I'm using very extreme examples here, completely on a different planet to you, you need to completely change it. However, I feel that in this particular circumstance about Joshua's fight, I think it'd be crazy to completely change it altogether. And if you're in sales, if you're in business, if you change it completely all, you probably won't be able to measure it. You probably won't be able to master it, as Rob Moore says, and therefore you won't know where you're going right and where you're going wrong. The second point, add to what you've already got. What I like about this is if you have a huge amount of success, or you've had some success in your life, and I'm going to take it back to sales. For me, there was a point where I got to earning £10,000 in a month, which is that golden number which a lot of salespeople try to achieve. It took me well over 2 years to ever achieve that. I started to build on top of that, but at one stage in my career in sales, I kind of plateaued, and I actually went slightly behind. And even though it wasn't a major change in my earnings, my mindset was I cannot go backwards, and I can definitely not stay the same. And it's forbidden for my own level of standard not to fall back. And I'm very self-critical. I like to go hard on myself because I believe if I don't let myself off the hook, then life will throw opportunities at me, and I'll be able to step back up and succeed and achieve the things that I really want to do. I feel if you've had a level of success, then you need to go back to the basics, but bolt on some benefits. So maybe train a bit harder. Maybe role play a little bit more before you get on the phone. Maybe practice the objections that you keep on coming across. It might be things outside of sales, or things outside of business, or things outside of your sport, maybe like boxing. You need to look at the nutrition right. You might need to have a bit more rest. You might need to get a bit more sports therapy. It may be a couple little bolt-on things which may not seem a lot. They might seem slightly pedantic at times, but I can tell you the small tweaks here and now, the small add-ons and the small bolt-ons. I mean, think about it. Your phone, I get every so often a bloody text message saying you nearly run out of data, and I might add £10 on it, and I'm adding and I'm bolting on much more memory, and therefore my phone, I can use it a lot more. I can I can listen to more podcasts, I can listen to more audio books, I can go onto the internet, I can open up more apps. Basically, that small bolt on, that extra bit of money, I've allowed my phone to basically become a lot more powerful. So add to what you've already got if you've had an element of success, or you've had success before in the past. The last one, don't change anything. As we well know, the definition of madness or insanity is to do the same thing over and over and over again, expecting a different result. If you don't change anything, then you're going to actually get the same result, and that's not what you want to achieve, especially if you've had a bit of a setback or a failure. In Anthony Joshua's case, he needs to change something. In sales, if you're earning 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 grand a month or beyond, you may not want to consider changing too much. But if you've had a setback, you definitely need to add something, change something and tweak it, because that is the only way you're going to actually get a different result. And for those people that keep on hitting their head against a brick wall and driving themselves quite mad, and they're in denial, they're in this planet of, not really looking at the situation for what it is, you definitely need to change a couple of things. Changing nothing is literally going to get you nowhere. My recommendation would be definitely listen to The Gloves Are Off. Watch it a couple of times. You're going to pick up lots of things. If you're into boxing or not, it doesn't matter, because it's a transferable mindset that you can definitely put into different parts of your life. My name is Stephen Sulley. Be happy, never content. Thank you.